Hi, my name is Ben, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how you can back up your class data. This is really important. I designed Splice to be an offline tool. I did that because in my own school the Wi-Fi is very unreliable, and because of the building we're in I can't even get a data signal. I actually have problems all the time using anything that requires a connection to the cloud. So I designed Splice to be something that you can use offline. It also is much easier if you're on a train, on a subway, on the go. You can count on being able to have your connection and access your work. So, because it's offline, it's very important that you back up your data. I'm going to talk about that now. So the first thing about backup, you access it by tapping the gear, and there are a few things you need to be able to do. First, if you back up all, you can see in the description, this file will include all data from every lesson in every class. That is not the only thing you need to back up. If you tap on all, you also have components. So this file will include all lesson components and their data. Lesson components are, let me jump into here, are these things, right? They define your lesson model, and it's going to vary from school to school, from teacher to teacher, what they need inside their lesson plan. You can customize this. Like if I look into AFL strategies, assessment for learning, inside this list, there are a few assessment strategies that I use all the time. Pair and share, jigsaw, and so on. So this is part of my lesson component data as well. It's important that I keep that backed up. So if you have the same lesson plan components as somebody else, then when you send a lesson to them, and by the way, somebody else could be yourself. Like it could just be that you have your lessons on your iPhone and maybe your iPad. So if they have the same lesson components, then whenever you send a lesson, it's going to receive that lesson with all of the settings that you have set up here. But if you don't have the lesson components, then Spliced will automatically copy the lesson components, but without all of the data, and it won't match up exactly. So the first thing you should always do is back up your components. And so you select components, you export it, and I'm running in a simulator right now, so I don't have a lot of options, but you'll see messages, you'll see email, you'll see AirDrop. You can get rid of these by any number of ways. After you sent that, you would then send your curriculum data. So you can export all. This is going to be every single lesson. If you don't want to send every single lesson, you can tap to export just one class. You can back up your geometry, or maybe your computer science, but not your geometry. You can select that. So pause for a second. What if you don't want to export your entire class? What if you just want a single lesson? What if you've been talking to a peer about a lesson and you just want to send that to them in an email? So the way you do that is you navigate to what you want to share. So in this case, let's suppose I want to share my introduction, my orientation lesson with a friend of mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to the view that shows the lesson that I want to share. In this case, the orientation lesson. From here, when I tap the gear and I tap backup, you'll see the options inside of what you're selecting change. So instead of curriculum like it said last time, it now says lesson, and I've got all these lessons displayed. So in this case, I want lesson 0 to be sent, and that's just going to send the one lesson. If I wanted to send a unit, similar to what I just did, I'll go to where I can see all my units. I'll tap the gear, tap backup, and these options will change again. I can now select an individual unit. And that's sort of how it's designed, that what you can back up depends on what's visible on this screen. If you can see your units, you can back up your units. If you can see your classes, you tap the gear to back up your classes, and so on.